The Democrats just killed Charlie Kirk today. They're desperate. They're losing. They want to intimidate you and me and everybody else. But we won't let the murder of our hero be used against us. We'll use this death as an example to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk and let the globalists know you did this out of weakness, and we're now going to peacefully expose you and speak out publicly more than ever. And then you criminals will be defeated and will be going to prison. We're about to break it all down right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and ready as, praise God, this morning, Charlie Kirk's killer has been captured. I can report to you, Charlie Kirk's killer is in federal custody after a 20-hour manhunt. I'm just doing the rough math. Charlie's killing on Wednesday. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. It is the 12th of September, 2025, and Charlie Kirk's killer has been announced first and live by President Trump in custody. And Donald Trump gave some major details, and we are going to be having a press conference live in moments from Utah with the full force of the FBI. The full force of the FBI was live last night, late into the small hours of the evening. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino in Utah, personally in Utah, joining the manhunt, and they got him, ladies and gentlemen. Surprising source revealed who the shooter was. Let's go ahead and read the top line here, and then we'll go straight to President Trump. Klein, let me know. Rocking and rolling. Okay, fantastic. Top line here. President Trump was live just seconds ago. We have the clips for you. Donald Trump revealed that the person who allegedly assassinated Charlie Kirk during an event in Utah is now in custody. I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. The president told Fox and Friends this morning. Sources told the Daily Mail that the suspect is Tyler Robinson, a 21-year-old man from Washington, Utah. Tyler Robinson. The shooter confessed to his father that he was the perpetrator, CNN reported. The man's father tipped off law enforcement and secured his son until officers arrived. Sources told CNN the individual was being questioned on Friday morning. Trump said that somebody who was very close to the suspect turned him in. He said that the tipster may have been the assassin's minister, the minister of the assassin. Remarkable. All this is changing in short order and quick time. Law enforcement will share the details about the suspect's arrest later, the president said. I want to show you very quickly the shot for the FBI live press conference here in Utah. We will be witnessing live soon. This is the live shot soon. The entire breakdown of how this happened. Tyler Robinson, a 21-year-old, is the monster who murdered Charlie Kirk in a political assassination. President Trump announcing that he is no longer at large and that Tyler Robinson has been caught here, stunning the world moments ago on Fox and Friends. Let's go.
Yesterday, you were at the 9/11 memorial. We were all watching that. Yeah. J.D. Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was very nice of you. Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Okay? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor, everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President.
He's in custody.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to read, please. This is Charlie Kirk's breaking news. President Trump. That was from less than 10 minutes ago, Donald Trump saying that the shooter was in custody. It was a minister who was involved with law enforcement. A good friend is a top U.S. Marshal, and they took it from there, Trump said, suggesting that the father and the preacher, the pastor of the shooter, turned him in. Law enforcement will share more details on the arrest later today at a press conference, of course.
Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. September 12th, 2025. Let's get into it. Wasn't that a great clip of Alex Jones up front? And I loved how he said the Democrats. Yeah, the Democrats. I can't believe that anybody gets along with the Democrat. I mean, I did want to tell you just one quick story. I had, and I'll just use, I use first and last names. I had friends from former jobs, and back during COVID, Keith and Patty, I called them up and said, we were talking, because one of the things I used to do to stay in touch with people is I would just randomly call some people that I know from time to time and say hi and hello and talk about things. And we got onto the conversation of COVID somehow, and I was talking about masks. And man, I'll tell you what, Patty, she got so pissed off. She said, "Don't ever call me ever again," and hung the phone up. That's who a Democrat is. I said, I've never called him back. And then I had a golfing buddy, Gary and Phyllis. And because I was a Trump supporter, I've told that story many times. He told me, "Don't ever come around me ever again." I haven't. I've never been around him ever again. I had a neighbor who was a Democrat, told me that he never wanted me to step foot on his property ever again. So you can see that back when COVID was happening and I wouldn't get the jab, I lost a lot of Democrat friends. And I'm only telling that story to say that, yeah, Democrats are crazy. They could have been the ones that shot Charlie Kirk. Now, the other speculation is Kirk was afraid of Israel because he had been speaking out, I believe, against the genocide in Gaza, and he was afraid that the Israelis were going to kill him. So that's another possibility to add to Alex Jones. But before we get into more, let's watch another clip from Alex Jones.
September 10th, 2025 is a day where a shot was heard around the world. Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered today in Utah while speaking to thousands at an outdoor event at a college. And the left is everywhere celebrating it. They're so happy. They had witches in groups cursing him in the week before. They had people in Utah releasing a song a month ago about killing him. We'll get to all of that. But the reason it's a shot heard around the world is he came out a few days ago with the murder of the Ukrainian 23-year-old refugee, and the left trying to cover up that it was racially motivated. The killer says, "I got that white girl." And they said, he's the bad guy. He's the fascist. He's Hitler.
On August 22nd, Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a savage career criminal.
Her life story, I think, will be told both in the United States and Ukraine for years to come. What do you think the importance of this story is most fundamentally?
This was one of the coldest, most senseless murders I've ever seen. She had no interaction with this guy whatsoever. She was sitting minding her own business, and he just takes out a knife and just decides to stab her. I do say this with some form of just heaviness. I don't like politicizing situations like this, but it just necessitates it because there are so many dynamics at play here. Based on the information evidence we have, the attacker did say, "I got that white girl." The attacker racialized it in his own telling of this situation. And we all know this. Any honest observer of your program knows this, including Van Jones even knows this deep down, which is that, of course, if a random white person on a subway took out a knife and stabbed a black girl senselessly to death, there would be massive media coverage. There would be policy changes. There would be people having to apologize for this. We saw this in George Floyd, and yet, for whatever reason, this situation has not garnered even a fraction of that kind of outrage or backlash.
And it's really captured people's attention and reminded them of Congressman Scalise getting shot and Rand Paul being attacked multiple times, his ribs broken in his home, and all the other death and destruction and lawfare and indictments and intimidation. And Antifa, all over the country, just shooting white people in pickup trucks because they must be bad.
So the narrative we hear from the media is exactly what you would expect. They are infinitely more outraged at the alleged racially charged language of conservative pundits than they are at the actual butchery of an innocent woman by a 14-time career felon on public transportation. They are not angry that this woman was killed. I mean, they couldn't care less. They wouldn't even be talking about it if they had their way. Instead, they're outraged by the racism, quote unquote, of conservatives who have noticed that the murders are happening. And then we hear from Van Jones that, we can't say for sure whether that black criminal killed Irina because she was white. Can't say that for sure. So just to review, the media can say for sure that it's racist to say mean things about a black guy who killed a white woman, but they can't say for sure that it's racist for a black guy to actually kill a white woman. So the murder is not racist necessarily, but the commentary about the murder, well, that is racist. That's what these despicable snakes are actually claiming. Keep in mind, this is coming from all the same people who declared from the first moment that the George Floyd footage went viral that it was a racist hate crime. There was nothing in that video, if you recall, not a single thing that indicated any kind of racial motivation whatsoever. And yet when a black suspect ODs while being detained by a white cop, it's a racist killing. Automatically, it's a racist killing. When a black criminal slaughters a white woman on the train, it's a mental health episode. This is what these soulless goblins expect us to believe. Hey, Van, listen, here's what we know, okay? Here's what we know. Statistically, a white person is 30 times more likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. We know that. That's just true. In 2019, there were about 560,000 violent interracial incidents between blacks and whites. 470,000 of them were black on white. That's 85%. 85%. 240 black people were killed by whites. 560 white people were killed by blacks. And this is all in spite of the fact that white people make up 60% of the population. Blacks are 13%. Just by raw numbers, not even per capita, but raw numbers, there are more black interracial killers than white. That is extraordinary. That's like impossible. That should be impossible. There are 171 million more white people in the country, and yet there are more black interracial killers. By raw numbers, that kind of disparity should be impossible. Again, and yet it's real. It's happening. Per capita, the situation is even more dire. Black people, young black males in particular, are an order of magnitude more violent and more likely to commit crimes than any other group in the country. Black men are 5 or 6% of the population. They commit the majority of murders in the country. That makes black males in America more dangerous than perhaps any other demographic in the entire world, let alone in this country. And we know all this despite the efforts by the FBI and every other institution to hide and bury racial crime statistics. Imagine how much worse it really is. Imagine how grisly it would look if they let us see the whole picture instead of just pieces of it. But we can see enough to know without any doubt whatsoever that the violent crime epidemic is driven by one demographic to an overwhelmingly disproportionate degree. And all of that has happened while you, Van, and your propagandist cohorts have spent years claiming that the reality is exactly the opposite of this. You didn't just deny that this is happening. You have the gall to claim that the opposite is happening. You paint a picture of a country where black people walk around in fear, trembling in fear of white violence, where black people are constantly tired and exhausted by the brutality inflicted upon them by the villainous whites. But those of us who you condemn as racists, no, we're the ones who are tired. We are tired of not being able to walk down the streets in our own cities. We are tired of losing good, productive citizens at the hands of violent degenerates who contribute nothing of value to society whatsoever. We are tired of the total lack of accountability and responsibility. We are tired of a system that prioritizes the restoration and rehabilitation of violent psychopaths over the protection of innocent, law-abiding people. And we are tired of pretending that all of this isn't happening. And we're just not going to pretend anymore. It's that simple.
Okay, I just want to kind of break this up and talk in between. The next possible candidate for killing Charlie Kirk was the Ukrainians. Charlie Kirk has been speaking out against us sending money, our U.S. taxpayer dollars, to Ukraine. And I don't know if he's on the Ukrainian death list. I don't know if you're aware that Ukraine has a death list. I know that Scott Ritter's on that list, for sure. And I can't remember who else. There's a few people that are, oh yeah, I think Stephen Gardner's on that list. Anyway, so if he was on the Ukrainian death list, that could make the possibility that it could have been Ukraine. So you can see, Charlie, he had a lot of people that wanted him dead. I don't know, I kind of agree with Alex. I'm leaning more towards the Democrats. But Alex put together the best tribute to Charlie Kirk. Let's watch another clip of Alex Jones.
It really sunk in to folks that all Charlie Kirk did was commit the cardinal sin for 9+ years with Turning Point USA to go to university campuses where they're trying to suppress free speech and brainwash the youth into being anti-America, anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, and educate them. And there's that video we showed right at the first, the slow motion of that high-caliber bullet reportedly shot off the roof 200 yards away, right into his throat, basically instant death. Just like Jamie White got killed, allegedly by the black man that put out a rap song about I killed that white Jamie White. He put a rap song out about killing him in March. That shows how horrible this crime wave is. It's not just Charlie Kirk. It's not just the poor Ukrainian woman. We are experiencing it here at the office, and it's pushed by the left and by the judges and the Soros DAs that release these killers. So Charlie Kirk will live forever. And God bless his family and everything he's done. But the left everywhere, literally celebrating this, just shows you how sick these people are. They want you dead because you're not a Satanist, you're not a pedophile, you're not a globalist. And they're not going to stop. So you can't roll over their political correctness. You can't hope they just go away. You've got to stand up against them culturally, economically, spiritually. You've got to run for office. You've got to go to city council and county commission and school board and speak out because people are dying for speech. Charlie Kirk knew he was putting his life on the line in 9 years, thousands of events at universities. He knew the left was dangerous. I've even predicted he'd probably get killed. And now it's happened. But he's not the loser here. He's the winner. Charlie Kirk decided to be exactly where he wanted to be, standing up against evil, standing up against tyrants, standing up for free speech. And some in the populist right-wing movement can say, well, he wasn't hardcore on this or he wasn't, hardcore on that. It didn't matter. He was getting millions. It's estimated over 5 million in the last 9 years, but 3 million in the last election. Young people to break from the brainwashing on the campuses and to go out and vote Republican. That is such a revolutionary act, and so he had to die. So the Democrats talk about fighting back and rising up and resisting, and we're going to have to die. We're going to have to bleed on The View.
I think you're okay with you okay with punching. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head, hard.
I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war.
It's very clear that people will die. The baby boomers, the civil rights generation, they knew what they had to do. They were willing to fight and die for their rights. This generation of Congress, they are not meeting the moment. This is an existential crisis.
We're going to fight it in the streets.
There is power in fighting back. Power.
When the people fight,
we win.
When the people fight,
we win.
We will not take this.
They know exactly what they're doing. They're not willing to go out and kill Congressman Scalise or try to, or Charlie Kirk. They're not willing to come up and punch me in the head or dump coffee on me. No. They're not willing to go to Butler, Pennsylvania and climb up there on top of that roof and try to kill Trump and barely graze him. Imagine what would happen if it was just an inch over. You just see what happened to Charlie Kirk, to Trump. They just put it out there to their minions and hope they go out and carry it out. And that's the big message here. The Podesta plan from August 2020 said if Trump could win, and they couldn't steal it, it's public, they'd have blue states secede in blue cities, create racial uprisings, and burn the country down and drive Trump from power. Then they produced, a few years later, the film Civil War that was released in the election year last year, fantasizing about the states coming together, marching on D.C., and killing Trump, who's only protected by a Secret Service, a Trumpian figure. So they've said they're going ahead with this plan. And you had this Tim Walz operative going and shooting the members of the government as a false flag, reportedly. You've got all this starting. And so I'm here to tell you, this is the beginning of their uprising. This is the beginning of their false flag.
He's an enemy of the nation, and yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost. So I'm kind of sick and tired of all these Democrats running around talking about, here's what we're going to do to win. Motherfucker, they're not going to let you take office. The only way we're getting Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or his ilk out of power is having tens of millions in this people in the streets, and we're going to have to have a few thousand people die at the hands of cops and soldiers before people get outraged enough to actually force the government to resign.
Beheaded Donald Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am, yes. I believe it's time that the people straight cut his head off.
It's a very good chance that off of the murder of Charlie Kirk, they've got some white supremacist, drugged out MK Ultra people ready to truck bomb an illegal alien demonstration or shoot up a black college or something in their future. And then they're going to try to create the clash and conflagration out of that. And that's why they're pushing this violence. And so that's why this is so incredibly important right now, that you understand this is a bellwether event. The left knows they're losing. They know the grand juries are publicly open this time. This isn't Q rumors like 8 years ago. These are public. They know the subpoenas are going out. They know the arrests have already begun. They're already busting the human trafficking networks and the NGOs and the law firms. They had raids all over this weekend. And so, as I've said, the bad guys at this critical point are going to pull out all the stops. Because they're losing, they need violence. Because the world is waking up, they need to create the chaos and have the mass uprising like we're Nepal or something, and manipulate the youth to burn down the country so there's a smokescreen to remove Trump and bring in their tyranny. Trump has deployed military in a few cities because of the Soros stand-down, defunding of the police, and the Soros DAs. It's not a police state. In an emergency, you do that, and crime has already plunged 90% in D.C. That is a protective measure ahead of what they know is coming. It's a very, very dangerous time to be alive, but it's also full of opportunity because the bad guys are doing this not through strength, but through weakness, but they're now making their main move. Now, I'm wondering when these private security firms are going to start putting people on roofs. That's another big question we've got to ask. But they do so many of these events, everybody kind of gets a normalcy bias and punch drunk. But in closing, I just want to say we love you, Charlie Kirk. We wouldn't have gotten Trump in both times without you. The enemy knew that. That's why you were target number one. We saw Charlie Kirk the last 6 months being the number one target other than Trump in the corporate media and by the Democrats. And I said publicly, Charlie Kirk, we need to pray for him because he's in a lot of danger. And for people that spend all their time criticizing him because on foreign policy disagree with him, that wasn't his job. His job was getting people registered to vote Republican, which isn't perfect, but is night and day compared to the Democrats. And that's why I'm pleased that I followed my gut instinct and didn't join the bandwagon to attack Charlie Kirk. I said Charlie Kirk's doing a great job, and I respect Charlie, and I love Charlie. I talked to Charlie just a few weeks ago. And about a week ago before that, we talked about our children, we talked about our families, we talked about the voting drive he was doing, talked about how Trump's doing, talked about how Trump was handling Epstein wrong. We talked about how it didn't matter because we were creating the new generation of leaders for local, state, and federal government, and that was the secret, that long after Trump's gone, we were creating the new generation of populist Christians who will restore and empower this republic. I don't tell that story to run Trump down. That was just their conversations about, yeah, we're telling Trump. And Charlie's like, man, he called me, we talk every month or so, but he called me a few times about a month and a half ago. And he was just like, man, good job, keep it up. People at the White House totally agree with you. He's got to stop saying it's a hoax. We know he means what they put in the files that they left behind is, he's the guy that blew the whistle, but my God, it's a disaster. yeah, keep it up. We totally agree with you. Great, keep it up. They were just encouraging me, and I was like, hey, come on the show. Yeah, I'll get you on the show. We both got busy. It didn't happen. And they called me back about, other stuff. But he's dead now. And you got to respect a man that had the will to put himself out there every day, never played the part of a victim, never said I'm in danger, never played it up. But that's also a problem. As populist, as conservatives, as Christian, as common sense, just kind of throwback cavemen, you'd call us. We don't want to cut our sons' penises off. We don't want world government. We don't want to die of fentanyl. We don't worship the devil. We still fly Old Glory down at the courthouse. White lightning is still the greatest thrill of all. It's not because we haven't seen the other stuff or done the other stuff. We just know that the classic stuff that is what we are is what is good. It's classic because it's what works. It's what we are. But as populists, as Christians, we're manly. And, growing up with my dad and his dad and my mom, all of them, they were tough. And you didn't complain. You didn't whine. You didn't cry with a broken bone or your eardrum blown out with, worst pain ever. Just you man up. Come home, get your ass kicked when you're 10 years old by 3 or 4 bullies who are older than you. Your dad says you better fight harder next time. And then my dad would back me up when I put him in the hospital years later. But the point is that we're not victims, so we're not professional whiners like the left. But we're not going to forget Charlie Kirk. We're not going to forget all of the people the left's killed. We're not going to forget how they tried to kill Trump. We're not going to forget the poor Ukrainian refugee they murdered, because I understand being a winner. When bad things happen to me, I learn from it, but I don't talk about it, I move on. Because I don't live in my bad experiences. I learn from them, I move on. But the left and their minions who we can actually reach, they don't get that. They live in victimology. So we need to realize what we've lost and what's happened to our people. And we need to celebrate, not just remember Charlie Kirk and others because, they killed our guy, they're bad. No, we need to remember what he did and what he stood for.
I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. Together, the largest conservative grassroots organizations in the country. Thanks to our work, I talk to a lot of young people on campuses, at our events, on my radio show, podcast, and social media. Said differently, I visit college campuses so you don't have to.
That's why I pledge to do a college tour and do dozens of locations the next year. We tried it before, they'd protest, the schools would ban us, whatever. I don't care if the schools do ban us, I'm going on them. Because I can't watch his example and then have them kill him and think that intimidates the rest of us. I have to do it. And we go out when the lockdowns were happening. We go out when they steal the election. We go out to J6, try to stop it. I'm skin in the game. But I'll tell you, I've told that people on air, and I've said to the crew, I'm saying, Charlie Kirk and folks have got the big balls. Because if I could digitally reach millions of people on talk radio and the internet here, and strategically not put myself like a general out in front of the enemy on the front line where they're going to be shooting at me, I don't do it. I very strategically do it. Once I get out there, I have no fear. That's just how I am. But that's kind of the problem. That's why I've got to strategically, coldly go, Jones, you're not invincible. You're not bulletproof. But Kirk knew. I talked to him. He knew. He goes, yeah. In fact, I talked to him about a year ago. He goes, yeah, man, we're going to get Trump elected. But my God, I'm getting a lot of death threats. Boy, they're coming after me. Boy, you ought to see me. He goes, I don't care because we're changing the world. So I had talks with Kirk about how he thought they were going to kill him. But he lives forever, folks. Viking king, sword in his hand. And I don't say that as a bravado. I say it that I strategically held back. All of us, you might just be a local doctor or a dentist or a school teacher, whoever you are. You should go speak at your city council, county commissioner. They're not going to kill you. Once you get big, they'll try. All of us, remember the FBI coming after conservative Catholics, criticizing DEI and all the rest of it? Remember coming after parents that were protesting it? That's because they're scared of you. So don't let Charlie Kirk's death be in vain. They were scared of that. Let's do more of that. But I commit to you, I'm doing the Charlie Kirk celebration tour because I can't let somebody out there put more skin in the game than me. It's not a competition. It's about an example. It's about a challenge. And it's about them not intimidating us. So nobody go out and attack any leftist. They're going to stage it anyways. Don't false flag the name of Charlie Kirk. You can see the setup here. but peacefully go out. And also do it online, talk radio everywhere, C-SPAN everywhere, wherever you can be heard. Live Democrat events, crash them peacefully. Just be heard because they're willing to kill to keep us from having our speech. So I'm just proud to know Charlie Kirk. And we salute him for everything he did and the hard work he committed to. And he lives forever. And we finally have turned the page in this chapter of the world being so dark and fighting this generation's tyranny. We'll look back. And he'll go down in the history books as one of the top generals in the fight for America and the future of the world. For myself, the whole InfoWars crew, and the entire audience, Charlie Kirk, the answer to 1984 is 1776, and you've got a salute from me, brother. You're a real man and an example to all of us, and we won't let you down.
Since I last spoke at the Republican convention 4 years ago, I've become a husband and father. In fact, we have 2 under 2. I think I get extra points for that.
All right, so we're through Alex Jones, and I hate taking that much material from somebody, but he really did a great job in his tribute to Charlie Kirk. Now I wanted to talk about the shooting itself because I hear people coming out like they're authorities and everything. Now, I was in the Marine Corps, and as a Marine, we have a shooting range, and from the 200-yard line, you shoot prone, sitting, and standing. Of course, the standing position is the most inaccurate. And but the prone position at 200 yards, I don't think I ever missed putting a bullet in a 6-inch circle, which is pretty much almost a bullseye. In fact, it was probably even closer than that. So it doesn't take a great marksman to hit somebody from 200 yards away. But the way that the guy did it, that told me it looked professional to me, because from the video I've seen, he came across the roof, set up his firing position, did probably his breathing exercises, clipped in on the, because you got your sights. Now he obviously probably had the sights set up ahead of time before the event. I'm sure he'd probably been in that position and had everything ready. But, Charlie Kirk, when he's talking, remember he's talking like this and he's going like that and he's leaning around and everything. And the guy wasn't there. What, 60 seconds? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell because people didn't see him. He could have been up there a couple minutes before the people got him on video. Boom, one shot. And he knew he had a kill. And then he was up and running across that roof and gone. I mean, who the hell? I mean, if you want to kill, generally it's going to be more than one shot. If you want to make sure you got the target. But this guy was so confident that he had gotten the target with one shot, a moving target at that. Now, Charlie, I mean, he wasn't like running or anything else, but at 200 yards from the top of a building, that shows a little bit of professionalism. Now, the story goes, and also I do want to talk about Marine Corps marksmen too. You know that we also shoot from the 300-yard range, never miss more than 6 inches on the bullseye from 300 yards, and then we all go out to 500 yards. Now this is where I'm kind of mad at myself, because I wanted to shoot expert, and from the 500 yards, I didn't have my scope sighted in perfectly, because I mean, from that distance, the target looks like it's a dog target. It looks like a speck. Doesn't even look like a target. And I missed, I think, twice, and I hit it 8 times. And so I was one shot from shooting expert. So I actually could have had a very different career in the Marine Corps. One bullet made the difference between me being a sharpshooter or an expert and just a sharpshooter. Or an expert gunsman. So anyway, so you can tell, I mean, you can hit a body shot from 500 yards. So I just wanted to kind of throw all that out. Now the story another story I've heard is that there was a private plane that had been rented nearby, and that Charlie ran out. I mean, the people, they say they saw this guy. It's, you know, because private planes, you know, somebody's renting it, and it took off about an hour after the shooting. And so the speculation is that the shooter was on board that private plane. So he might be long gone. I did want to say let's read what Alex Jones, now that you've watched the video. The Democrat deep state killed Charlie Kirk in a desperate attempt to shut down the populist free speech and conservative nationalist voting recruitment on college campuses. So that's his thing. You know, one thing I wanted to put up front in the video is, blessed are the truth tellers, for they shall set you free. Now, I don't know if that's a quote that I heard somewhere, but that's something that popped into my head before I came out here. Because Charlie Kirk was a truth teller. And of course, all truth tellers have a bullseye on their head.
Live reaction now from British journalist and host of Going Underground, Afshin Rattansi. Afshin, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time today. If we can perhaps start with that news just emerging, as I mentioned earlier, the FBI saying that it has video of the suspected shooter as a nationwide search is underway. The footage is not being released. Do you think it will?
I'll get to your point in a second. I should just say, like millions of people all around the world, we wish the leader of RT to get well soon. Testament to the fear that RT instills in millions of people in NATO elites, that they fear Margarita Simonyan so much. So get well soon from people all around the world. To your point about freedom and lies as regards the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I mean, already, can you imagine the MAGA movement already so upset by the Jeffrey Epstein saga, the promises betrayed by the Trump administration? Now we have one suspect taken, then released, another one now. Hot off the press is that some are saying it's a transgender graffiti-bearing rifle that was used. Whatever the case here, I think they will try and disguise the true motives of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That is the top story. You will not hear about it in the so-called mainstream corporate media in the United States. Charlie Kirk was changing. Charlie Kirk has been shot dead.
After the news of his death, a lot of people posted video on social media essentially cheering his assassination. Is death, Afshin, just another vehicle for getting likes now? Distasteful doesn't do justice to what we've heard in the aftermath of this.
Well, I think, it's clearly going to hit a certain demographic of the MAGA movement in the United States. I heard so many talk about the left. J.D. Vance uses this phrase, the left. Lots of corporate news in NATO countries. I don't think there is a left or right that one can specify. One can specify a huge geopolitical interest, huge financial oligarch elite power. Charlie Kirk, 2 months ago, hosted a comedian, Dave Smith, known for his anti-genocide views as regards Gaza. That is the global issue, along with Ukraine, that is focusing the minds, certainly in this region, the GCC, where I'm speaking to you. I mean, this is the headline here in Dubai. It's about, I don't know whether you can read that. That's MBZ of UAE reaffirming support for Qatar after criminal attack. Charlie Kirk was being accused of anti-Semitism. The MAGA movement, people like Megyn Kelly and others, known for their Zionism. Charlie Kirk is known for his Zionism. Suddenly, he was starting to question this holy truth of the MAGA movement because, of course, it's funded and has been historically funded by Miriam Adelson and the rest of them. He was changing. He was starting to see the world through Tucker Carlson's eyes. In that situation, what do you think happens to an important person in the elite circles of the powers of persuasion? That is the question that needs to be asked. Everyone has seen on social media the shot and how expertly the sniper shot was carried out. This was an assassination, and I think more and more people will realize the truth will never come from Kash Patel. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, previously said the truth never comes out the FBI. He's the head of the FBI now, and many people don't think the truth comes out of him now. So regardless of the so-called left, that's the USAID, Hillary Clinton, that kind of dying Democrat side of things, which the Republicans will seek to blame in some way for the Charlie Kirk assassination, that's not the issue. The issue here is the United States is being controlled by powerful interests. Donald Trump is being controlled by powerful interests, completely in opposition to the MAGA base that got him elected. There is no democracy in the United States if the assassination attempt on Charlie Kirk is allowed to be excused as just something from the left, when actually the reasons are much more murky.
I'm just a little fish. I can't imagine that somebody cares about anything that I say, but they certainly care about, somebody like Scott Ritter. He's got a big bullseye on his back. Glenn Beck. I mean, you name it. Those people. That's another thing I forgot to talk about was the security. I don't know who these people. I mean, I would imagine Charlie Kirk had the money to have good private security, don't you? And whoever was providing security, once again, it's just like Trump. How can you have a rooftop that wasn't covered? If I was on the security detail, I would have had at least one person up there because that was a great vantage point because you could see the other rooftops around and you got a high view of the area. I don't know. I mean, I think these celebrities, they need to think about hiring combat veterans because there's no way a combat veteran, and I don't care, even if they're not in security, would have left that rooftop uncovered, just like with Trump and Butler. By the way, speaking of Trump, think about what happened. We haven't heard a damn thing about crooks. I mean, the FBI covered that all up. They washed the blood off the roof. They cremated the body before anybody could do a second autopsy on it. And you haven't heard a damn thing about how he had all that technical equipment. And then the same goes for that shooter on the golf course. We haven't heard a damn thing about that guy. Of course, Pam Bondi hadn't prosecuted a damn person. I'll probably get on the phone and we'll look at some of my ex. With the Charlie Kirk story just consumed everything. But if you didn't know, Rand Paul has got some new evidence on that demon Fauci. Now, I don't know if, Pam Bondi, she ain't going to arrest nobody, but, it definitely convicts him in the court of public opinion. So now, we've got a lot on Fauci now. If you want to learn more about it, I always got to promote my channels. And be sure and hit that like button and subscribe. I'm The Burn on Rumble, The Burn channel on Rumble, all one word. And of course, I am the Florida MNN, Florida Man News Network on YouTube. And of course, I'm on X as ThatCyberSecurityGuy. So anyway, just thinking about all of that. Well, let's keep going. And this was an interesting post, and I've got a picture here. We'll have it up. It says, "Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent." That's a quote, I guess, by Adam Smith. I thought that was a very interesting quote. And that was posted by the Rabbit Hole 84. And of course, the picture there, I mean, you've heard of the story that the mainstream media didn't report on. I think it happened on August 22nd. We were just now hearing about it, 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago. About the woman on the train, on the subway, that the black guy got up and just stabbed her right in the throat. She was pretty too. God, what a waste. So anyway, if you didn't know, and we're going to read a quote, a couple of Russians have chimed in on the assassination. And I'm a huge Dmitry Medvedev fan. He says, political crimes and assassinations have been carried out lately by a variety of left-wing liberal scum who support Banderite Kiev, Fico, Kirk. Who's next? Maybe it's time for the MAGA team to realize that supporting Ukraine, they're supporting murderers. So I guess that Medvedev is insinuating there that it was Ukraine, in the Russians' opinion, that shot Charlie Kirk. So anyway, and then of course there's, I don't know, we'll do some reading from some of my ex-posts, but let's keep going with the video. This is Vince Colonese. The average homicide suspect has been arrested 11 times prior to them committing a homicide. That is a problem. That is a problem. We need to keep violent people in jail, and this is the former police chief, Robert Conte, in 2023. A little short clip from him. Let's watch that right now.
Guns off the street. What we got to do, if we really want to see homicides go down, is keep bad guys with guns in jail, because when they in jail, they can't be in community shooting people. So when people talk about what we're going to do different, or what we should do different, what we need to do different, that's the thing that we need to do different. We need to keep violent people in jail. Right now, the average homicide suspect has been arrested 11 times prior to them committing a homicide. That is a problem. That is a problem.
All right. So we're getting there. I thought that was I don't know if that particular police officer was in a Democrat town. If he was, I imagine he didn't keep his job very long, because the Democrats, I mean, the guy on the subway had been released 14 times. My God, what would it be like to live in a Democrat city? God, I can't even imagine it. I would do everything I could. I mean, at least when I worked in Washington, D.C., I lived in Northern Virginia, and Northern Virginia was mostly Democrat, but it wasn't, back then, it just didn't seem like that. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't political back then. So this is, let's change topics. Get off of assassinations and Charlie Kirk. We'll go into George Galloway. I thought this was a good post by him. Sleepwalking into dictatorship. How can you have a situation where two leaders with 11% and 13% approval are at the point of taking France and Britain into war? Follow Moats, if you want, the mother of all talk shows, on. Be sure and follow that on YouTube. But let's watch that video now.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Mark. I don't think there's any way you can get the governments of the Western world. You have to change the governments of the Western world. And we do get regular opportunities to do so. But our people don't take them. And that's our fault, because we haven't persuaded them yet to take them. How can you have a situation where two leaders with 11% and 13% respectively of public approval are on the point of taking France and Britain into war? Into war, not just any war. We're not talking the Falklands War against Argentina. We're talking a war against a nuclear superpower called Russia. How can that be allowed? Well, the answer is we are not yet doing enough. Not enough of us are doing enough to change that situation. And when we got the chance, just a year ago in Britain, we gave a landslide majority to that block of wood called Keir Starmer, even though, I warned everybody that within 6 months of him being Prime Minister, he would take Britain into war. And that is exactly what he did.
Okay, so on that vein, let's hit on the drones just a second that flew into Poland. From what I understand, it might have been 4 to 11 drones or 6 or something like that. I don't know the number. But I mean, I think that protest too much. You know that saying that if you protest too much, you're probably guilty? Well, I mean, the Europeans are going crazy on a couple of drones that did no damage in Poland. And Russia has denied, haven't really denied it. They just said that they're investigating it because they can't believe that they would be the Russian drones. So anyway, who knows? But when they went Article 4, basically saying, they're ready to go to war with Russia over a couple of drones flying in. I mean, my God. These European leaders are out of their freaking minds, man. I mean, you're going to go to war with Russia over a drone flying into your airspace and you don't even know if it was the Russians that did it? I mean, we had that false flag way back when Ukraine flew a missile into Poland, and they were all upset then saying that Russia did it. Then we came to find out that Ukraine did it. I mean, it's insane. These European leaders are insane. Then we get Glenn Dyson. Russia's pivot from Europe to Asia is now permanent, with the signing of the Power of Siberia 2, which runs from the Russian Arctic to China. The gas could have fueled European economies for decades, has instead been redirected to China. Now, I got a picture of the pipeline up, but I wanted you to understand the significance of this. Without Russian gas, Europe is, pardon my French, they're fucked, man. I mean, Germany's economy is going to go to hell in a handbasket. And they're doing it to themselves. That's the thing that blows my mind. And then Putin, I got another video coming up. Putin has said many times, he doesn't even want all of Ukraine. He's going to stop when they get to probably the Dnieper River. Now, depending on, the situation, he's probably going to take Odessa and, come all the way up there. But they're not going to go into Western Ukraine unless Western Ukraine keeps attacking. Then they might have to go in and take Kiev at some point, but they're not going to keep it. Who wants to keep territory where you got guerrilla fighters? Because that would become a damn guerrilla war. Whereas everything that the Russians have taken thus far, those are Russian-speaking citizens. So anyway, that's it for the first page of notes. Let's keep going here. So this is Che Bowles. He put this up, and I told you we were going to get to Putin in just a second. So President Putin calls out the Western-backed 2014 Maidan coup as the trigger for the current Ukraine crisis. Now, there were many things that brought about the war in Ukraine. Of course, NATO expansion, probably the primary reason. What was it? Who was it? Was it Reagan or Bush or Clinton? It might have been Clinton. Anyway, I think all those presidents told Russia that NATO would not expand once the Soviet Union fell, or promised Gorbachev. That was Reagan. And then, of course, all they've done is nation after nation, the last two being Finland and Sweden, which, by the way, there's some huge military exercises that are going to be taking place this month in Belarus, and I think might be one in Poland, and then maybe one in Finland. So they're going to be bumping up against each other. And I love the Canadian prep brief. Says there are no military exercises, just military something in disguise. So this could be the beginning of warfare between actual NATO troops and Russian troops. You never know. But let's get the video of Putin out of the way.
Хочу сказать, что таких же подходов российская сторона придерживается и в отношении кризиса вокруг Украины. Напомню в этой связи, что этот кризис возник не в результате нападения России на Украину, а в результате государственного переворота на Украине, который был поддержан и спровоцирован Западом. Затем попытками с помощью вооруженных сил подавить сопротивление тех регионов Украины и тех людей на Украине, которые этот переворот не приняли, не поддержали.
All right, so that was the video of Putin. Then we got Che Bowles with another one. The reason the Western media is so obsessed with demonizing President Putin, if they are absolutely terrified if you hear his rational, calm, and objective views, things blatantly absent when his European and NATO counterparts speak. And we got the video of Putin attacking Europe. Let's watch that now.
Словакия, как известно, и член ЕС, и член НАТО. Вы можете себе позволить критиковать их политику, потому что это как бы ваше сообщество, ваша семья сегодня. Я не хочу вас ставить в сложное двойственное положение и заниматься критикой НАТО и Евросоюза. Не хочу их сравнивать с присмыкающимися, с животными. Они специалисты не по сказкам, они специалисты по фильмам ужасов. И то, что постоянно мы видим сейчас, постоянно нагнетается какая-то истерия по поводу того, что Россия якобы задумала нападать на Европу. Я думаю, что это для здравомыслящих людей понятная провокация или полная некомпетентность. Потому что любой здравомыслящий человек прекрасно отдает себе отчет в том, что в России не было никогда, нет и не будет никакого желания ни на кого нападать.
All right, so that's it for the notes. We'll think of some more things. I'm going to be out here. I've decided to spend a whole day on the trail today. We got out here about, well, a little afternoon. Hey, I wanted to just hit on the new video studio real quick. So I picked up the new server, the video processing server for DaVinci Resolve. If you didn't know, that computer's been sitting in my house for 2 years with me working on it. Gave it to a guy, charged me $350 and got it put together in 2 days. I'm dumber than a bag of rocks, ain't I? Oh my God, I should have just given it to him. Although it was a much bigger project. I had to tear apart some old computers and move hard drives around and redo everything. But right now I'm down to one laptop that I'm going to reload with Windows 11. That's actually that's the Creator, the MSI Creator laptop that I've been using to do the videos up until now. Of course, now we'll start using the server. And I bought another monitor, so I've actually got 3 monitors that are going to go all the way around. And of course, I got a webcam that is kind of old, but probably still good. So I might start doing some interviews on the channels. You know, like I said, on YouTube. I'm also ThatCyberSecurityGuy on YouTube. So I might start doing some interviews and stuff like that. So the new video studio will be up and running probably in about 2 or 3 days. I mean, obviously I got to, load all the software on the new server and just make the connections. But I'm pumped, man. We're going big time with the channel here. Life is good. Peace out. Stay free. So I wanted to get this tree. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That is wild looking. Well, anyway, I guess they're saying on the radio on Blue Sky that a lot of people are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. That's pretty sick, don't you think? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't celebrate, but I wouldn't say anything. Somebody like, who was it? Daggone it, Como, the guy that put all the, or Fauci. If somebody took Fauci out, I'd shed no tears over that. I wouldn't come out on X and be posting that I'm celebrating, but I definitely wouldn't shed no tears over a Fauci accident. Well, I wanted to get one more nature shot. I always hate this. You can see there's a mark on that tree way down there. And the main trail goes this way. I can't say that I'm lost, but I don't think I've ever been here before. Because to get back, I know I just have to go down there and make a left and then to get me back on the main trail. But let's keep going. Let's see if we can get lost. Well, since I did a video, my last video was on the demon Fauci. We'll save the new evidence on Fauci for a future video. So, but let's just continue with the theme here. This is Alexander. I told you there's been a number of Russians that have posted on it. This is Alexander Dugin. If you didn't know who Dugin is, he's the Supposedly he's a philosopher or whatever that's real close to Putin, and his daughter, there was a Ukrainian assassination team, I think it was in Moscow, and they thought they were going to try to kill him, and they ended up killing his daughter. But this is what his words were. He says, "Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, great American patriot, devoted Christian, husband and father, the hope of a generation. Whole Russia prays for you. Nothing stop us in creating a better world. From the heaven, you'll help make America great again. Souls are immortal." So that's what Alexander Dugin had to say to the Charlie Kirk family. I thought those were very good words. This was posted by Robert Barnes. I got the picture up for you to look at right now. But his comment was, and it's very, very true, because, you know, we didn't even talk about Israel bombing Qatar and what that means. But he says, is there any country left in the Middle East that Israel hasn't attacked? He's got we've been looking at the picture. But I did want to talk about Qatar. I mean, I want to tell you what, man. Israel's making nothing but enemies. And the thing is, now we know that Qatar is just a United States bitch. that's all they are. Because the U.S., we provide them with air protection, air defense, and they stood down to let the Israelis come in and bomb another nation to try to. And the thing that really gets me is they're killing the negotiators, the Hamas negotiators. So nobody on planet Earth is going to want to negotiate anymore with Israel or the United States. Think about that. You know, it used to be taboo that you don't decapitate governments. Look at Russia. Russia has not decapitated the Ukrainian government, and they could at any time. Okay? But yet Israel tried to decapitate the entire Iranian government. They hit Hezbollah, decapitated that. In Syria, they decapitated them, and now they just tried to kill, and they killed the negotiators in Iran. So nobody's going to want to negotiate with the United States or Israel. That's for damn sure. All right, let's keep going. This is Alex Christoph. If you didn't know, he's on the Duran, but he also has his own channel on YouTube and other places. And I just thought this was good. Blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. No worries. Attacking the Drezhbula pipeline 4 times in 2 weeks. Nothing to see here. Some recon decoy drones, maybe from Russia, make flyover from Ukraine. Article 4, Article 5, let's go to nuclear war. And he's got I got the picture here of it. It says, Poland has invoked NATO's Article 4. What comes next? All right, so this is Monitor X. The Russian Ministry of Defense posted this because I think they do think that NATO or Poland might be coming into Ukraine here soon. And they said there is no immunity for anyone anymore, and everyone who supports Zelensky's regime will pay the price. And then I did want to finish off with this. We got a good picture here. And because if you didn't know, there's been a lot of protests going on in France. So we could get Macron out of there, hopefully. And he says, the French regime change machine. And you're looking at the picture. That's it, man. I'm not going to do no more for the video. Peace out. Stay free. I got to hike back now. I'm a long ways deep into the forest here. I tell you, it's a hell of a hike to get to this picnic table. But I like getting here because it's a place where I can rest for a while and drink some water. All right. Always as I get more news, we'll add it to the video on the way back here with a few scenery shots. I forgot to tell you, the Israelis, they did kill some Qatar family where the Hamas negotiators were staying because I guess they were putting them up. So they did kill a few civilians in Qatar, but they missed the Hamas negotiators. And the story that I have been given or have read is that what happened was they left their cell phones in like a conference room to go pray. And I guess Israel, Israel's got excellent intelligence. I guess they were zeroed in on where those cell phones were to hit the targets. And that's why they missed. Isn't that kind of a wild story? They just, so say your prayers, man. whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or Buddhist, I mean, that saved those Hamas negotiators. So, and I'm glad. I don't think you should be killing negotiators. Especially in a neutral country like Qatar. The other story I just got is this is pretty cool. I didn't know that Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump were such really good friends, I guess. And so J.D. Vance has met with the Kirk family, and they put Charlie's body in the casket, and they're going to fly it on Air Force Two, which is the vice president's plane, back to, I guess, Arizona. Is that where Charlie Kirk is from? So what a tribute to a good guy. I like Charlie Kirk. I never, it's kind of like, he's not like Sean Hannity, who was just a parrot. Parrots the same thing over and over again, would love to go kill babies in Gaza, or Mark Levin, I can't even listen to no more. But Charlie Kirk, I always like listening to him. I can't recall anything he ever said that really bothered me, Now I didn't, I didn't listen to Charlie on a regular basis, but you get clips here and there. He always had good things to say, and I loved how he was able to get up and debate with young people, and he would accept any question. It was unbelievable. I couldn't do that. Could you do that? I mean, I guess I'm just not a good debater. I mean, that's people would just walk right over me, and because I wouldn't know how to address some of the questions or some of the points that other people are making. And I know where I stand on things, but I couldn't I couldn't debate it. All right, well, just some more news for you. Can you see them? Let's zoom in. Oh shit! Sorry. There they go. Well, we got them on the video for a second. Well, there they are again. Can you see them? Whoops. Let's get it centered in. See him off in the distance there? Whoops. Hard to zoom in. Hey, he's looking at me.